It is official, fellas. After a decade, we are finally getting a return ticket to the Kalos region in 2025 in the form of Pokémon Legends ZA. The trailer, showcased in the February Pokémon Presents, revealed the following. The game will be set in Lumiose City during an urban redevelopment phase, and Mega Evolution is coming back. Being an announcement trailer, however, it was still relatively vague and left some things unknown. 1. With the game likely being centered around Zygarde, what will its role be in the game's story? 2. What is A? Is it a Pokemon, or is it something else? And 3. What is the deeper meaning of the name ZA? My name is Mistmon, and in this video I will showcase my take on these currently unsolved mysteries. Considering that for the first time in Pokemon, Gen 6 didn't have any sequels or third versions centered around Zygarde, how can Zygarde be fleshed out further in Legends ZA? To answer this question, we actually need to take a look at the Pokemon first to know what it is and how it works. Zygarde is made up of 2 things, 95 cells which compose its body, and 5 cores, which are sentient components that serve as the brains of the Pokemon and command the cells. The cells and cores can be stored in a Zygarde cube and disassemble and reassemble thanks to the reassembly unit. As shown in the anime, a single core can be sentient without any cells, albeit with a very small amount of power. This is a crucial foundation for the theory that I'm about to propose. The Zygarde core looks weak enough to be obtained in the early game. By this logic, the most likely case is that Snivy, Scorbunny and Piplup will be the starter trio, and we obtain a Zygarde core shortly after, similar to Koraidon and Miraidon in Scarlet and Violet. However, I have a different proposal. What if, instead of having a traditional Grass, Fire, Water starter trio and then obtaining a Zygarde core shortly after, it's the other way round? This would effectively play out like Pokémon Yellow, where you were forced to start with a Pikachu, but it is also a reference to X and Y, where you can get a second set of starters shortly after the first. Additionally, as you progress through the game, you can collect more Zygarde cells and cores, allowing Zygarde to assume a new form to overcome various field obstacles. Each form can bypass a different obstacle, and you can switch between these forms using the Zygarde cube. The Z in ZA is almost definitely representative of Zygarde, but what about the A? One might assume, based on past Pokemon titles, that this is a new legendary Pokemon. Or perhaps a new mythical, considering that Legends Arceus titular Arceus is of that subcategory. However, the A also bears suspicious resemblance to the ultimate weapon, an object of significance in the Kalos games that had various different uses. Its initial purpose was to revive dead Pokemon, most notably AZ's Floette 3,000 years before the events of X and Y. It was later converted into a machine of destruction, being used to end the Kalosian War by obliterating both sides. In X and Y, the refashioned ultimate weapon was used by Team Flare in an attempt to destroy all life. This comparison of the supposed A legendary and the ultimate weapon creates a new problem, however. How can it possibly be a Pokemon and the inanimate ultimate weapon at the same time? Well, here is my astonishing proposal. This inanimate ultimate weapon isn't quite inanimate. It's actually a Pokemon. While this is one crazy theory, all of the evidence points in this direction. Firstly, if you examine the A closely, you can make out a plant texture. It is important to note that the ultimate weapon is fueled by infinity energy. With this in mind, we can say the following. The ultimate weapon is like a giant plant with infinity energy for nutrients. Second, the ultimate weapon is thought to be the source of Mega Evolution. Given that the other gimmicks originated from a deific Pokemon, Zed moves from Necrozma, the Dynamax phenomenon from Eternatus, and the Terrestrial phenomenon for Terapagos, we could see a similar case here with Mega Evolution. Lastly is the ultimate weapon being a machine of destruction. A Chaos Pokemon would be perfect to oppose Zygarde, the Order Pokemon. Now that we have an assumption for what the meaning of A is, we can use that assumption to speculate the meaning of ZA. The first way we can do so is by examining the logo further. Here we can see the Z and the A overlapping one another, as if about to fuse? No, there's no way. I think I'm cooking here, but I'm fairly certain that this means something. With this somewhat symbolic representation of Z and A in the logo, it sounds just about realistic to say that the ultimate weapon will absorb Zygarde to form ZA. Yeah, this sounds pretty absurd. After all, how can Order and Chaos mix? Well, here's the catch. The ultimate weapon would only absorb the cells, not the cores. The assistance of Zygarde cells would allow the ultimate weapon to achieve its apex state. But how would the ultimate weapon be compatible with Zygarde cells in the first place? My idea is this. A certain character, who will effectively serve as the Volo of Legends ZA, will install false Zygarde cores into the ultimate weapon to ensure its compatibility with the Zygarde cells. Said fake cores will have entirely different intentions to the real cores, to create chaos instead of order. Now, this is all fine and dandy, but it only really answers half of the question. We still need to know why it needs to achieve this new state in the first place. We may need to backtrack a bit here. Is there possibly another meaning to ZA? One that doesn't necessarily involve Zygarde and the ultimate weapon, perhaps? While the ZA in the logo has this weird overlapping thing going on, it's spelled as Z-A. This could also be read as Z2A, which may help us speculate. Z and A are at the end and beginning of the Latin alphabet respectively, so you could think of Z to A as end to beginning, as if something is happening in reverse. But what? I think it's safe to say you probably know what I'm thinking here. Combine this with the assumption that the meaning of ZA is end to beginning and that the ultimate weapon is a Chaos Pokémon and you get this. Upon activation, the ultimate weapon will radiate an aura that puts humans and Pokémon into a state of conflict, effectively reversing the entire redevelopment plan. You and your Pokémon will be immune, however, as you still have the Zygarde cores to defend you from the aura. In the final phase of the fight against the ultimate weapon Pokémon, you will use the Zygarde cores and the Zygarde cube to extract the Zygarde cells out of the ultimate weapon, unifying Zygarde once more for a climactic battle against the A legendary. And that, fellas, wraps up the theory. I sure hope that the theories in this video are as accurate as possible, especially the ultimate weapon part. That I would bet money on. I also learned from experience that I should be making theories like these as full videos, not shorts. The tight 1 minute duration limit imposed on YouTube Shorts doesn't really allow me to explain very much. I did these videos as shorts in the past because that is what generally gains more views, especially in the early stages of your channel's development. But I sure hope that this video does better now that I can fully explain my theories. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, share it with a friend or family member who may be interested, and subscribe to see more where this came from. My name has been Mistmon, and I will see you in the next one.